I began these art practices not exactly sure where to start. Artist problems. I thought I would start with codifying what I saw. Where will this take me? How do I know when I'm done? I began with using symbols for what I saw during my classes, like my students' braids, my daughter's braces, Paige's sculpture, severe weather drill. Expanding on the idea of codifying visual experiences, I could commit to a daily practice of sketching while I'm on duty and standing in the hallway between classes. My training is not in drawing, but in design. How do you see? What is the process of seeing things? On February 25th, Dr. Nordstrom from the University of Memphis discussed her approaches to post-qualitative research and sparked my interest in thought experiments. She explored the ideas of reverse perspective. What if every day you imagine something impossible? How might you study that object? How might that object study you? That day, I drew pipes in the ceiling while standing on my duty station. The next day I had my infusion treatment and noticed how very similar the IV apparatus looks similar to the pipes I drew the day before. Rather than starting a new drawing, I added to the previous drawing. I enjoy the process of transforming 3D spaces into 2D shapes and patterns. I sketch everywhere. I had time to record the daily experiences. What would these objects say about you? What secrets does the door across the hall know? If you could open the door to the universe, where would you go? March 5th was Big Art Day and the kickoff for spring break. I drew what I observed, wondering what stories they would tell about me. We stayed home to clean house and to get things in order, and then our spring break was extended. Everything had changed. We were on hold, waiting.
As it is, we're supposed to get a list of all the children who have not been in contact with us. So that's kind of where my priority is like where the children are now.
After that, I found it really difficult to concentrate, to hold a thought, to stay focused. I tried to continue my practice of codifying my visual experiences until about the second week of the great pause of isolation. Something had happened, and I didn't like the way the drawings looked. They looked labored and mechanical. The images looked stylized and rehearsed. I knew I was going to have to change my approach if I didn't keep going with these practices. I was already doing the thought experiments by now, so I started drawing the things that were in my head, which were clouds of uncertainty. I came across a video that gave a name to what I was drawing called automatic drawings. Automatic drawings is focusing on the marks the tools leave on the page. I'm trying to clear my head of the pressures and the instability of my consciousness. It's not supposed to look like anything, yet very expressive of my mood. It's interesting that over time I found myself gravitating towards images that represent trees or flowers and a lot of caves. I would find groups of markings that resembled bird and then go back and add details to make it more bird-like. This is counterproductive to the directive to not make it look like anything. But there's a great deal of pleasure in discovering meaning in the mess. images are, how I just released my mind and let the pen move across the page. I started to use Sketchmaster as a way to filter some of the images. So I experimented with different ways that the images can be reversed. My thought is at some point I could use these designs for pottery and sculptures. The last experiment was with Filmora effects. I've been doing some video editing experiments. So these are some of the ones that I was experimenting with. And even though the main objective was visual and non-visual experiments, at some point they merged. So I end asking the same question I began with. Where does it stop? Do you ever stop experimenting with art? Where will your experiments take you?